All right, does turn up the volume. Can everyone hear me? The recording's going. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So let's go back to AutoCAD. So what we're gonna do is let's go ahead and open up your final project if you haven't done so already. And we're gonna go to the Canvas site for this class and go and find under the final project module, there is a construction 241 section drawing. We want to click that section and then download it. Okay. Once that section has been downloaded, let's go back to your AutoCAD. And in the same window that your final project is open, I want to click the open button, go to the downloads for your section, open that section. And then what we need to do from here is just simply select it, use our Control C for copy, and bring this back into our final project and hit Control V, and that will paste in there. Okay. One thing you'll notice about it right now is it is really massive, right? And it's kind of a cool little section head. It's got some cool things. We can flip it. We can put some annotations in here. But first things first, let's go ahead and scale this. Okay. So right now, annotative scale is 1 to 100. Let's see if we can. Perfect. So what I did, so if you click on this, on the left-hand side, there's this annotative scale. And right now it's set to 1 to 100. And we could keep it like that. And I could just take this whole thing and scale it down. Let's see, do we want to do this? It makes this whole thing annotative, and I don't know if I want to make it annotative. Let's go back for a second. I was trying to take a shortcut, but I think because the way that this is built, let's just go ahead and actually use our scaling feature instead of the annotative feature, because what happens with this is it will make it smaller, but since this is the default size, every time you try to click on it, it's going to go back to this massive, giant section head. And I don't want you to have to struggle through that and deal with it. Okay. If it would come in with an annotation scale of 1 to 1, it'd be different. But since it came in with a 1 to 100, it's we really just want to scale this. So I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna type in scale on my keyboard, specify a base point, which is anywhere I want, and I'm gonna type in 0.1 on my keyboard and hit enter. Okay, so what that just did is it scaled it down by a factor of 10. Now I can click it, move it around. It's still probably way too big, okay? So maybe we want to scale this down one more time. Scale. And then I'm going to click anywhere for my base point, and my scale factor on this one, I'm going to do 0.5. So I'm going to make it half the size. And that's probably a good size right there. So if you did 0.05 from the beginning instead of 0.1, it would have brought you to the same spot, right? So what this is doing is this section head is how we're going to tell you where we're taking our internal cut. Okay. So if I wanted to take a section of this back wall from the inside, I could drag this from here to here. Maybe drag this guy actually a little farther over. And what it's saying right now is it's saying that when I go to this section on my sheet, which we will fill this out in a minute, but when I go to that section, it's saying, hey, you are standing here looking this direction. Okay. If I wanted to take a section cut of this wall, okay, I could use my rotate command. And rotate it 90, right? And then I could take a section of the west wall, okay? And again, maybe I want to change how long my section tail is, right? This is what's known as a section head. this is what's known as a section tail. Okay, and you can stretch that tail out anywhere you want. Maybe this is still too big. You could still scale this down, to another spot. Okay, so that's putting this section head on here. Okay, we're gonna come back in 1 second to this, but I'm gonna go ahead and just copy this real quick. And this is gonna be I'm gonna make a quote unquote interior section. Okay, so this will be my interior section over here. And if you notice the way that the interior is gonna look, right? Those windows are gonna be on the 3 windows are gonna be on the left-hand side and the 2 windows will be on the right. So when I rotate this section back, I'm looking right here, looking at this wall, I want this section here to do the same thing. And so what we're going to end up doing is mirroring this. Okay. And we've done this before, building internal, and yes, I want to erase the source object, and there's my interior section. Okay. And it's probably not going to have brick on the inside, so I'll delete my brick hatching. Cool. So now I have, essentially, I've got a floor plan. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 elevations, right? I've got a north, an east, a south, and a west. And I've got a single interior elevation, right? Now, is that interior elevation right here? No, because what we're going to do is we're going to reference that on the sheet, okay? Any questions about using the section before we move on? I'll come back to annotating it and how to get the actual detail numbers in there once we get the view set up. But actually using this section tool, bringing it in, scaling, any questions with that? Yes.
Since we have windows to
yes. No, I just placed it there. It doesn't matter where you place it. We're going to show, so ultimately this right here is just saying you're standing somewhere a foot away, maybe 2 feet away. It doesn't really matter where you cut that. It just matters if there's other elements in the way, right? So if I had an extra countertop over here and I wanted to include that, I'd want to see that extra countertop in my section view. Right now, I'm just going to see the counter that's going to be right in front of the windows, right? And the windows in that section view or whatever it is. Okay. But this doesn't necessarily need, this is just wherever you want to place it. Okay. That's not a specific distance necessarily. Right now, you're looking at the plan view. So right now, we're looking at a plan view. All this is doing, this isn't actually a section of any type. Like, it's not, what it's going to do is represent. So let me do the next thing and you'll see what's going on. Okay. So let's go ahead and come down here and let's come down here to our title block. And you probably has one that says, Arc D, I believe is the one we have in there, which is perfect. Okay. Arc D stands for the size of the title block sheet. And an Arc D sheet is 24 by, nope, that's Arc E. 24, it's 24 by 36 is an Arc D. Yeah. Arc C is 1824. And then an Arc E is 36 by 48. So it's a big giant sheet. Okay. So right now we have this title block and I could duplicate this a bunch of times and that's what we're going to end up doing. But let's go ahead and just rename this real quick. So instead of it being Arc D, let's rename this something that actually means something to us and call this floor plan. Okay. So we've got one called floor plan. If we right click it and come up here, click this move or copy button. And what I want to do is create a copy and move it to the end. So I want that checkbox checked, the create a copy button, and move to the end. And what it's going to do is it's going to put another tab in there called floor plan 1 or floor plan 2. Okay. And we're going to rename this one North. ELEV period. I don't care if you type the whole thing out. The longer you type it, the bigger that tab gets. Okay, so I don't want it to be super, super long. And then we're going to do the same thing. Move or copy, create another copy, move it to the end. And what I want to do is I want to make a title block for the plan view and all 5 elevations. Okay, so the 5 elevations being north, east, south, west, exterior elevation, and then whatever the interior, maybe it's 2 interior elevations, maybe it's 4, right? We need at least 1. But you'll have a sheet for your interior elevation. Okay, so I'm going to north elevation, east elevation, south elevation, west elevation, and then my last one, I'm just going to call it INT for interior elevation. And duplicate last one, create a copy, move to the end. And I'll call this INT elevation. So now we have a model tab, a floor plan tab, north elevation, an east elevation, a south elevation, a west elevation, and an interior elevation tab. Okay, so the 6 different title blocks right now that we have, all of them are just blank right now. Okay, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Okay, because we haven't put a viewport in it. So what that means is we haven't given a way for this title block to look at the model space. So we need to create what's called a viewport. Okay, so if I type in viewport on my command line, and I'm gonna click this one right here where it says single, I'm gonna create a single viewport. Now, when I click OK, it's gonna come up and it's gonna give me a couple more different options. It's gonna have me draw the viewport, right? So I'm gonna click OK, and then it's gonna say, where do you want this viewport to start? I'm gonna click this top left. If you kind of come up to the radius corner, you'll see that you can get a center of that circle. I'm gonna click that top left. And then somewhere down here, I don't care exactly where your bottom is, but just somewhere down roughly right in this area, and go ahead and click. Okay. Once you click, it creates 2 sets of spaces that we're viewing. So right now, if I zoom in and out, you can see that my paper or my sheet, right, is zooming in and out. I'm physically moving the sheet in and out. Now, if I zoom it so it's, fills most of my screen, and then I double click inside of this blue box, I have now activated the viewport. And now when I zoom in and out, I zoom in and out on specific items that I've modeled. Okay. And one of the best ways to use this tool is to use our zoom command. And we're going to type in Z for zoom and press W for window. And I'm going to click on the top left of my floor plan and drag it to the bottom right. And it's going to zoom right there, right in, centered nicely on my floor plan. I can double click to get out of it. And now I'm back onto paper space. Okay, so paper space is on the outside. If you double click and activate the viewport, you can also, I think you can also, can you right click on this? you can, let's see, you can click on the viewport and no, it's just, you just have to double click to get in and out. So double click the space inside to get into it. Double click the space outside of it to get out of it. So right now we set up our floor plan. So I'd like to go to the next title block over and do the same thing. Go ahead and type in viewport. We're going to bring up another viewport window, grab that single viewport. And just like before, we're going to click that top left corner and then the bottom right corner, somewhere in there. And once I have the viewport now active, or now drawn, I can double click to activate it. And now I'm going to use my zoom tool. So ZW, and I'm going to zoom right into my north elevation. And maybe I need to crop it a little bit more. Maybe I want to zoom in. Okay, so maybe I need to move this up 15 feet. Move 15 feet. And now when I zoom into it, and I don't need these story poles anymore. And now when I do my zoom window, I can isolate just that spot, okay? Just the north wall, okay? The biggest thing we ran into in the last semester I taught this is people tried to put their floor plan, their elevations all on the same title block, which technically worked, but it made them have to be really, really tiny with all their dimensioning and everything. Let's go ahead and use your space, right? So we don't need to get anything more than one view per title block, okay? Keep it simple. So we'll have a floor plan view, a north elevation, and we'll go to the east elevation. Do the same thing, right? Type in viewport. Another single viewport. Once that's drawn, you can zoom into your east elevation, right? And so forth for the southwest. And then the interior elevation, again, it's the same thing, right? You're just going to reference a different spot. So let's go ahead and build all the viewports for the remaining title blocks. And then this one's going to be south. So again, you might need to go in and move your elevation view so that way you can zoom in and only get that one view, right? You're not getting a clip. You're not getting something that looks like this where I'm showing that, but I'm also seeing clips of the other views, right? We just want to isolate that one elevation at a time. All right, we'll do it 2 more times. Viewport, single. And then this one's going to be my west. All right, so zoom in west side. There we go. That looks good. Okay, and then last but not least, our interior elevation. So now you'll notice that we haven't named anything yet, okay? So what I want to do is I want to go back to the very first floor plan. And I'm going to type in, click into this. On the left-hand side, you'll now see attributes come up. And we can type in different dates, different addresses for where your project is. But the biggest thing is we want to type in sheet 01. So sheet number 01. And you might need to click into here and like highlight it to activate. Okay. Also, if you double click it, let's see, you can, if you double click it, you can get this to pop up, and this should, that's another way you can access this. So either if you click it once, it'll be in the properties, or you click it twice, it'll end up. And what we want to do is name these sheets from 01 through 04, or sorry, 06. 03.
Is there
Interesting.
any other information we need to put in there, or just numbers 01 to 06?
So, real quick, and I don't know why this is. How many of you guys have seen when we copied this floor plan? Did you have multiples here of the title block, or did you just have one? Because when I'm clicking on it now, I'm seeing that there was multiple copies on top of each other. So go ahead and check that out. That's why you were seeing one of them. See, I'm still seeing that. There's my 01 sheet. Here's my 02 sheet. So if you still see some of those X's somewhere, you might have a couple on top of each other still. Like this, I think I've still got a couple on top of each other. So take a look at that. I don't know if that came in as part of your template as well. It did? Okay. So, and again, I don't know why those are stacked, but let's take care of it. So, and if we had taken care of it from the beginning and I realized it earlier on, we could have just taken care of it once before we duplicated it. So you can do that if you want to, but since you've already built the viewports, I imagine it's probably easier just to delete the excess title blocks. All right, this is going to be 05.
Can you walk us through how to delete the excess ones again, please?
Yeah, so here, this one has a few on it. Just go ahead and click on the title block and hit the delete key. And if there's something still there behind it, you deleted one instance of it. Now, I think there's 3 of them. So if you click this again, now it deleted that one with the zeros or with the number sign, and I'm just left with the last one, which I can now click into and call it 06.
But how do you know you've only got one left? And that
Because
you don't
once you
need...
delete that last one, it'll go away and you can hit Control Z.
Oh, okay.
If you go too far. All right, and so now on this last one, there we go. Now this says 05. Okay. The last one says 06. I need to just put a viewport on this.
Got it.
And so I'm going to type in viewports. Make one more viewport for it. And now we can start looking at this interior elevation. So I made a copy of the exterior and mirrored it. So that way the windows were facing the same way they would be as if you're looking from the inside. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into that just for this drawing. So that looks like that. Very good. All right. Now what I want to do is look at, and I'll bring this back over here. What I want to do is I want to change this. I want to zoom into this floor plan right here. All right. So if I go to here and let's see what that's on 0. Let's put that on title block. Let's see if that shows up. Why are you not showing up? You're on. What's going on with that section head? Can you guys see the section head on your? I see it here on my plan view. It's on the title block layer, transparency by layer. should be fine. What I want to do is I want to put in view 1 on sheet 06, right? So that's going to call out the detail that I have on the sheet 6. I don't know why it's not showing up there. Right, but the sheet that I'm referencing, this sheet is on 06. It should be showing here, right there. It should show detail 106 right here, and then you could go to that page and follow it. But for some reason, this is being, let's put you on exterior walls. Line type by layer, transparency by layer is fine. Change that by block. Still not showing up. Well, I mean, it's just a block. It shouldn't be acting any differently. Just a block reference. I don't. Should show up right there. What? Why is it not? Does anyone else get theirs to show up on their views? Or is it just acting crazy for everybody? Nothing? This definitely did not happen before. Draw order, bring to front, but it shouldn't matter. Draw order, it should be there.
Is it because it's white?
Because it's what? Because it's
Is
white?
it because, yeah, if it's white, then maybe it doesn't show up on the paper space?
It shouldn't. We could go by here. We could do that. We could do this. Here, let's change it to cyan. That's a good. No, see, it's just
It's
not.
not there, okay.
It's still just acting bizarre. Which I wanted to use this section head, but if it's not going to work on us, that's not. It's not great. So why don't we do this? Okay, so we went through. We learned how to make these views. Let's make sure you have all of those views. I'm going to play with this section head. I will figure out why it's not working and or provide a new one for you to use. But that's what I want to go ahead and do at this point is go ahead and make sure that you've got your view, your title blocks built, right? So you've got your different, your floor plan, you've got your north elevation. Here's all the rest of them. Interior elevation, west elevation. Get all of those drawn and start looking at cropping your views inside of them, right? Zooming into the specific elevation. And then that way, as you detail it, it will draw it on that sheet, okay? And I will work on trying to figure out what's going on with the section head. Again, it worked last semester, so I don't know what changed in MEP 2023 versus 24, but we will find out.
Wait, how did you put the numbers inside the section head again?
So if you click on the section, okay, if you go to the very left-hand side in your properties, there's attributes at the bottom that says view number, and I put in 1 and then sheet number 06.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then I will figure out why this isn't working or what we need to do to make it work. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I'm going to play with this for about 5 minutes, see if I can get something real quick. If not, then I will get back to you with an update for new section head. We'll get it today. If not today, first thing tomorrow, I'll have something for you. But what I want to do is I'll spend a couple minutes trying to get this figured out real quick. And then I want to go around and just do an invite for like, I'll do a breakout room and invite one person at a time to just kind of jump in, look at your project, see where you're at, and I'll give you a couple suggestions on, hey, let's work on this, let's do this. You know, maybe if you've got questions, I just want to look at it, see where we're at, and what we can do to move forward the most efficiently, right? Maybe all your views look great, you've dimensioned it, it's like, awesome, let's work on your elevations now, instead of you continuing tonight and spending all your time trying to, you know, finish something that you're you know, maybe the couch isn't in the right position. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's get the rest of those views so we got content. Okay. And I'm gonna stop my share and stop the recording. Actually, I'm just gonna pause the recording. That way, if we've got anything that we want to add to it, we can do. So earlier we were having a little bit of issues with this annotation section head call out. What I want to do is once you've brought it in and you've copied it in from, you know, from a different file, it should be here in your blocks on the left-hand side. And you should have one now called Anno callout section MTR. And if I click that and I just click it once and bring it over, it should come in as a 1-to-1 scale. And when I change that section head, or I change the rotation on it, I rotate this 90. Okay, now the annotation on here is going to be really tiny, and I don't care. That's fine. Detail 1 on sheet 06. And what's it got? See, it wants to rotate the other direction. So we'll rotate this whole thing 180. Now it reads right. Okay. So I can move this here and I'll have it viewing the other way. So I think I can just click this little toggle and it'll flip the way it views. And now that section's on here. And since it's 1-to-1 annotative scale on here, it should show up right there on your floor plan. Okay. So it all has to do with how it scales. And the easiest way to overcome that is just bring it back in from a block. And when you do that in your model space, it should bring it in as a 1-to-1. Okay. So let's go ahead and try that from your blocks and see if we can get that on there. And if these read sideways or something, I'm not really too concerned. The biggest thing is we're just trying to get something on there to show, hey, look here, and then go to this detail. Oh, okay, go to detail 1 on sheet 6, go to sheet 6, and there's my detail 1, right? Or whatever's showing on there. All it's for is a simple, hey, you're looking here, go to this sheet. Okay. And if it doesn't get on there, I'm not going to dock anybody points for it, as long as you have your interior elevation shown. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna stop the share and come around the room, just kind of look at people, and then I'll jump online and open up a breakout room, and I'll just be inviting people one at a time to jump in there and spend 5 minutes looking up their project.
So where's that cut in? It's gonna go all the way across that, right? Position is essentially go through. So it's. Yeah. Okay, and so I'm going into elevation. Oh, that's the window. Okay, I see what you're saying. So what's this? What's up with that? Do you see this? And then there's a category. It's like perfect. And that's what you're showing right there. So excellent. Cool. Symbol location. Cool. Cool. So now you're right now all your furniture or all your this is all in the computer layer. Yeah. I you can leave it there, but I would just maybe have okay. Maybe put something else on there. I just don't want it to be the same color as all you guys. Okay. So, but yeah, maybe with maybe we'll do like I'm gonna go ahead and just come up here real quick.
Hey, everybody. So one thing I've just kind of noticed, couple things that I wanted to share. I'm gonna share my screen again. And I will, okay, good, it is still recording. Cool. So one thing I noticed about this section head, there's a couple different ways to use it. If you see that this is sideways and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't like this. Over here, there's two different rotational elements, okay? There's a rotation and a symbol rotation, okay? So if I wanted this rotated 90, I would just rotate that symbol 90 instead of the whole thing, and it'll rotate together. And now that is straight up and down, right? So you can play with that if you need to. The other thing I wanted to touch base on real quick is let's go ahead and go to our layer properties and let's build a new layer for all of our interior stuff. So like furniture, I'm going to call it furnishings. Okay. Furnishing. Call it furnishing. Leave it white if you want. But put all of your toilets, your cabinetry, your couch, your bed, all of that on that layer, or at least on a layer that's separate. So it's not the same color as the walls. It's not the same color as the windows, right? And if you need to choose another color, again, we typically use these. White is fine. Again, we're coloring everything else. White is great. But if you don't want to use one of these original 8 index colors, it's got everything you want. You can go in here and pick any color you really want. So just have it on something that it's its own layer that you could turn it on and off. I think you'll find that helpful for your workflow as well.
And you just had. No, so you've got those, you check the right there, and you go to what, yeah, that's something. And then the other biggest thing is, so, I can guess, but, you can use the, small, text is fine, small dimension text is fine, right? And it's true, it's definitely small. Yeah, looking good. Nice. Cool. Good.
That's one back.
That's what we're doing with our. So what I would do with that. So that's cool. Let's take this and make it like that. You can just keep it there. With that line. Just go back. Click on that line. And we'll just put it here. I would. Okay, another divider. Okay, I would just leave them out, to be honest. I just center this a little bit like here. Living space, the kitchen. It's an open space, right?
So I'm the line thing.
Just, yeah, that's way too much. And then just kind of send me this text in the middle of that area. But then I can help, right? If it's an open floor plan. Cool. Yeah, easy. That looks way cleaner than having those lines that are now. One of these, I get what they're representing once you explain it. You don't need to explain that, right?
Yeah, the percent is fine.
Yeah, so. Cool. Yes, sir.
Going back to the floor plan.
Yeah. Okay, so just right click, yep, and then click move or copy. Click move to the end. And then click create a copy. So what we're doing is creating a copy and it's gonna put it right after layout. Now if we click the floor plan 2, just click on it normally. Just let it click on this. So the thing is when you, does this one have? Oh, it looks like this. So let's delete this layout. But since this already had so this used to be an issue that when you built the viewport on it and tried to copy it, it would only copy the title block. And so that's why I built all the title blocks and that with the viewports on. It looks like the way that you did it by copying it after actually copied that viewport, which is great. So now you don't have to do it again. So now rename that one. Or actually just move or copy. Just make a bunch of them. And then again, move it again, create a copy. And I wish there was like create 7 copies, right? I don't know why there isn't like a multiple button. Right? But then once you're there, then you can just rename them. And then you're just going to zoom in on the east section or the west or the exactly. Yep. Oh, looking good, dude.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
So, here's my question.
Yeah.
Like, really good. I got this thing. Right.
Your section,
Section.
okay.
Now now the section one is open. So how would I? See, I'm still confused on this.
Click it and delete it right now. So what we want to do, type in block out. BLOCK and then out. Right after that. Blocks out. We're gonna keep going. It's blocks out. KS. Out. All right. Now that that's here, let it do its thing for a second. Click this. Yep. Click that. Click the- There you go. Now we're just gonna use that. We're good. And now it's not gonna be so big. It comes in right.
So my question for you. Anyways,
Yes.
so. Is this going to be this one?
Mhm.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
So. What would the height?
10 feet.
All of them?
I mean, it might
It's just a second. Well,
good enough for now. But I mean, interior, it depends. Like 8 feet to 10 feet, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want it. I like to just do 10 because it's nice and easy for this purpose. But if you have a specific ceiling height, like this ceiling right here, that's a 7-foot door. You probably got 18 inches. You're probably at like 8.6 on this ceiling. But a lot of stuff is like, it might be a 9-foot ceiling. So, but whatever you want, 8 to 10 feet is fine.
So it would start from here.
You start from wherever the base of your story pole is. So if you're starting from,
Like this.
then you want to go 8 feet up, or whatever the dimension may be.
Right.
All right, before I jump on to people online, does anyone have another question for me before I? Okay, awesome. All right, so everybody that's online, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and I'm gonna open up a breakout room. And then I'm gonna invite just one at a time to jump in. And I'm just gonna create one room and I'll assign, we'll start with Ahmed. And let me real quick,